We're here on Daf Ayin Vavam and Aleph, and we're up to Tanya, Isi ben Yehuda Omer, which you'll see in the first of the wide lines. Man sheyared lehem liyisrael hayimiskaber v'ole ad sheromo so-called malchi mizrach umarav shenemar tarach l'fanei shulchan neged tzoroi kosi ruvoya amar Abaye shmamina Chasa de David li alma di asi masan the esrim bechad loga machs shenemar kosi ruvoya b'gmatria hachi hav. Now we're going to go back to the words of Rabbi Lazar Hamodai, who derives from the height of the water of the Mabul that the man was 60 amma high. Holo dam, Gemara asks the following question: how can you make this analogy to the Mabul? Yomi. During the period of 40 days, the Mabul fell. Here, the man fell every hour during the morning hours. And therefore, it's very possible that with regard to the Mabul, there were shtei arubos, and there was a shear of 15 amma. But with regard to the Yeridas Haman, then we should say Yared Shir Pachos, because there should be a smaller amount. Because again, you weren't talking about a 40-day period. Furthermore, there, the water of the Mabul was falling down for the entire world. And therefore, when it fell through the two arubos, these windows in the heavens, it would reach a maximum height of 15 amma, because the water would spread throughout the entire world. Hacha li Yisrael l'chudei. But in the case you read the man only fell for the Bnei Yisrael, and it fell in the Machne Yisrael, which was three parseos bilvad. It was only 3 parseos, not even a fraction of the entire earth. V'nofesh l'utfei. And therefore, it's quite possible that the man would pile up even more than 60 amas in height. More answers, Rabbi Lazar Modoi Psicha Gomar. He has another Gzeres Shava, that in both cases, in the Mabul and with regard to the man, the word Psicha appears. In the Mabul, it says Arubos Hashmaim Niftachu, and here in Man it says Dalsos Dalse Shemayim Pasach. So the Psicha with regard to the Arubos of the Mabul is there was a Yerida of Mayim of 15 amma from 2 Arubos. So to the Psicha that it says in the Dalsos that the man fell from, it's also a height of 15 amma from all of the 2 arubos. Now Mishnah says, Yoma Kippur Maser Bachila, Ubishasiya Berchitza Besicha, V'nilas Asal Tashramita, Hani Chamisha Inuyim Keneged Mi. Over Rav Chizda, Chamisha Inuyim Elu Keneged Chamisha Inuyim Sheba Torah. That we have 5 times that the Torah repeats the word Inui, and corresponding to those 5 times, we have 5 categories of Inui, even though there's 6 categories, but Achil and Jasiya are considered 1 category. And here are the 5 times that Inui is written in the Torah with regard to Yom Kippur. Number 1, Besar Lachodesh Hashvi. This is in Bamidbar, Perek of Tes, and it says V'nisem es nafshel seichem. Number 2, now we're in Vayikra, in Parshas Emor, Perek of Gimel V'ach Be'asar Lachodesh Hashvi Azeh Yom Kippurim Mekakodesh Alochem V'nisem Es Nafshel Sech. Number 3, we're also in the same section, but we fast forward by 5 psukim, and it says Shabbos Shabbosani Hu Lachem V'nisem Es Nafshel Sechem. And finally, we have another 2 psukim in Parshas Achremos, in Vayikra Perek Tezayin. First, we have Shabbos Shabbosani Lachem V'nisem Es Nafshel Sechem. Then we have V'hoisol Lachem U'fukasol V'chodesh Hashvi V'asol L'chodesh Ta'anu Es Nafshel Sechem. 5 times with regard to Yom Kippurim, the Torah used the word Inui, and that corresponds to the 5 categories of Inui. So the Gemara right away asks the question that we indicated earlier: Hani Chambishavu? Are there really only 5 times that the Torah says Inui, and that corresponds to 5 Inui? We have 6 Inui. Vanan Shisa Tanan. The Mishnah enumerates 6 different categories of Inui. Achilish Sia, Rechitza, Sicha, Negasado, Shashamita. So how could Rav Chizda derive from the 5 times that the Torah repeats the word Inui, 6 Inuyim, 5 to 6 doesn't matter, doesn't make sense. The Gemara answers, Shasia B'chlal Achiluhi. Shasia is not a separate category of an Inui, it's included in the generic term of Achila. Therefore, we reduce the number to 5 Inuyim. Yomer Reish Lakish Minayin Shasia She B'chlal Achila. How do we know that Shasia is included under Achila? Shenemar, with regard to Ma'aser Sheni, where the mitzvah is to take up the Ma'aser Sheni to Yerushalayim and eat it in Yerushalayim, it says V'achalta l'fnei Hashem Elokecha, and there it says Maser degancha tiroshcha v'yisarecha, and on the list is tirosh. Tirosh chamrahu. Tirosh means yayin. V'karile, and yet the pasuk says v'achalta. So we see that drinking wine, which is shasia, is included under achila. The Gemara asked me, how do we prove from Reish Lakish, or how does Reish Lakish prove from the pasuk that shasia is b'chal chila? Bilma, perhaps what the pasuk means when it says v'achalta, it means the achle al yidei nigro. Perhaps he really eats wine. How can you eat wine? Wine is a liquid, but the answer is he mixes it in a kind of food which is called anigron, and in anigron they added both wine and also oil. And the yayin, now the wine is me'urav, it's completely mixed up in this food, and therefore achilas anigron is ka'achilas yayin. But really, if you ask me about shasias yayin, independent, it's not absorbed in or mixed with any solid substance, that's not called achila, that's called shasia. The Amar Rabba Bar Shmuel anigron maya de silka, bachsigron maya de kule shilke. Rabba says that the term anigron is a reference to a cooked food that's made from cooking tardin. Tardin is either spinach or beets. Anyway, they cooked vegetables in water, and the water has the status of anigron. And achsigron is a tavshel that's made from maya de kule shilke, from water in which they overcooked the vegetables. So now we have to find a different alternative proof to shasia b'chal achila. Ela amar of Acha bar Yaakov mehocha. Let's derive it from the parsha in Ma'aser Sheni. And the pasuk again is referring to someone who cannot schlep all of his 10% of his produce to Yerushalayim. He could now avail himself of chilul Ma'aser Sheni. In other words, he could transfer the kedusha of the Ma'aser Sheni over to the mamon, over to kesef, and he'll bring the kesef up to Yerushalayim, and he'll buy foodstuff and drink in Yerushalayim. He'll eat it in Yerushalayim. And the pasuk says, "V'nasata kesef b'chol asher ta'aveh nafshecha b'bokar ubatzon b'yayin ubatshecha b'chol asher tishalcha nafshecha v'chalta shom l'fnei Hashem elkecha v'samachta tov v'itecha." Now the word shechar lends itself to shasia. You have to drink it. V'kari rachmanin, yet the Torah calls it v'achalta. And v'achalta means even if he, for example, drinks shechar. So we see clearly that drinking is b'chlal achila. Gemara says, "Mimai, how are you going to prove from here that shasia is b'chlal achila?" V'dilma achash nami, here too, the achle al yidei nigron. Perhaps he mixed the wine or the beer together with other foods, solid foods. And when it says shechar kosa, the pasuk mentions shechar, which is beer. Midi dimeshake. It means something that has an intoxicating element to it. And shechar in a nigron is not going to bring you to drunkenness. So therefore, the pasuk must be referring to shechar that's drunk independently on its own, not mixed in together with the foodstuff. The Gemara now again tries to deflect that proof. But Dilma, perhaps shechar doesn't mean mashke hamashaker, some beverage that will intoxicate, but rather maybe it means tvela ki'ilis, which is a type of a fig that comes from a place called ki'ila, and if you eat it, you can get drunk from it. And therefore the Torah says, call it achila, because now it's a substance that lends itself to achila. Sanya, we learned in a brisa, ochal dvela ki'ilis v'shasa dvach v'chalav. And now he's drinking some sort of concoction that's made of dvash and chalav, and nichtas lemigdash, and he enters into the migdash chayav. It's chayav malchus because he violates the law of yain v'sheicha lotesht atov bincha itach bevachem ol moed v'lotamusu chukas olav v'dorosechem. And shechar means davar hamashaka. Therefore, we can interpret that shechar in the context of Masechet, in the pasuk Sata Kes B'chol Shetav Nafshecha U'Biyayin U'B'Shechar V'Yachalta. It means dvela ki'ilis, and on that the Torah says it's called achila. But as far as Shasi is concerned, if he drinks shechar, drinks a beer that's made of wine, lo matzinu shenemar loshen achila. Uminayin shestia bichlal achil. Ella yoliv shechar min nazir. But rather, we're going to prove that v'nasata kesef b'yayin b'shechar that shestia is bichlal achila from a gzer shachva. That in the parsha of Nazir it says parshas Naso. Miyayin v'sheicher yazir chometz yayin v'chometz sheicher lo yishte v'chol mishas anovim lo yishte v'anovim lachev v'yaveshim lo yechel. What is sheicher? Sheicher here in Nazir means yayin. The Nazir is allowed to drink intoxicating beverages. He's only enjoined from drinking wine that comes from grapes. Is af, so to sheichar that's mentioned here, kan b'Masechet, it means yayin. It does not refer to dvela ki'ilis. Yayin would not bring a person to shikrus if he eats it b'derech achila, only if he drinks the wine. And therefore, from the fact that the Torah says about sheichar v'achalta, it would seem that shesia is bechlal achila. So this is where we'll stop. Thank you so much.